Let me ask you something. How long have you been chasing peace like it was something just around the corner? How many times have you told yourself, if I can just fix this, if I can just get that, then maybe I won't hurt anymore? But what if I told you, the reason you are still suffering is because you're trying to fix the wrong things? The Buddha never taught us to fix the world. He taught us to understand it. Your pain does not arise because of the things happening around you. It arises because of the way your mind responds to them. And that is where liberation begins. You suffer not because of what you experience, but because of your resistance to it. The pain is not in the experience, it is in the no you say to the experience. You lost someone, you failed, you were rejected, you were betrayed, and your mind screamed, this should not have happened. But the universe doesn't ask for your permission. It moves as it moves, with or without your consent. And the more you fight against what is, the deeper the wound becomes. This is what the Buddha saw clearly beneath the Bodhi tree, that suffering is born not from life itself, but from our attachment to how we believe life should be. You believe you're suffering because something was taken from you, but that's not true. You're suffering because you believed it belonged to you in the first place. Everything you cling to is borrowed. Every identity you wear is stitched together by thought. Every moment you grasp is already slipping through your fingers. And still we grasp. Still we demand. Still we resist. The Buddha called this tanha, craving. The thirst that keeps us bound to the wheel of becoming. We crave pleasure. We crave permanence, we crave certainty, and in that craving, we forget the fundamental nature of all things, impermanence. What rises will fall. What begins must. What is born will die. Not as a punishment, but as the very rhythm of existence. And when we try to freeze what is fluid, when we try to possess what cannot be possessed, the result is always the same, dukkha. Suffering. You keep asking, why me? But the Buddha never asked why me. He asked, what is this? He didn't resist the suffering. He turned toward it. He sat with it. He looked it in the eye until he saw through it. And what he saw was not a cruel universe, but a mind that had been conditioned to grasp, to push away, to divide the world into good and bad, mine and not mine. The chains were never around your body, they were around your perception. So what did the Buddha actually say? He said this: there is suffering, there is a cause of suffering, there is an end to suffering, there is a path that leads to that end. Not philosophy, not religion, but a path, a way, one that begins not with belief, but with seeing. You want to end suffering? Then stop running. Look at your mind. Look at the stories it clings to. Look at the labels it uses to define self and other. Look at the expectations it projects onto people and moments. And then start to let go. Not all at once. Not with force, but like exhaling a long breath you've been holding for years. This is not about detachment as coldness. This is not indifference. This is clarity. The Buddha did not teach us to become numb. He taught us to feel fully, without becoming enslaved, to walk through pain, not around it, to love without possessing, to act without clinging to results, to see reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. And in that seeing, suffering begins to dissolve, not disappear instantly, but loosen its grip. Because suffering thrives in darkness, in misunderstanding, in the shadows of a mind that refuses to see clearly. But the moment you turn the light inward, truly, fearlessly, you begin to see the roots. And once you see the roots, you no longer water them unconsciously. The Buddha did not promise you a life without pain. He promised you freedom in the midst of pain. He promised that even amidst storms, a stillness can remain untouched at your core. But to find it, you must stop believing every thought you think. You must stop identifying with every wave that moves through your mind. You say, I am anxious, I am angry, I am broken. But the Buddha said, these are not who you are. These are just clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. What you are is the sky, boundless, open, undisturbed by the changing weather of emotions and thought. And when you realize this, not as an idea, but as a lived truth, your suffering begins to transform. It doesn't mean you won't cry, it means you won't drown. The Eightfold Path was not meant to be memorized, it was meant to be walked, lived, breathed. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Each one, not a commandment, but a compass, a way of realigning your life with truth. When your view is clouded, your actions follow that distortion. When your intentions are rooted in fear or greed, no amount of doing good can bring peace. When your speech wounds, it fractures your own heart as much as another's. So the Buddha asked us not to obey blindly, but to observe, to experiment, to watch our own minds the way a gardener watches the seasons. And in that watching, transformation occurs, not through violence, not through denial, but through gentle, unwavering awareness. You've been taught to fight your suffering, to escape it, to numb it, to medicate it, to drown it in noise and distraction. But the Buddha sat down with it. He made space for it. And in doing so, he stripped it of its illusion. Because suffering is a teacher, and like all true teachers, it will keep returning until the lesson is learned. The lesson is this: you are not your story, you are not your past, you are not what happened to you, you are not your success or your failure, you are not even your thoughts, you are the awareness that sees all of it. The silence beneath the noise, the stillness beneath the chaos, the spaciousness in which all things arise and pass away. And when you anchor into that, into what doesn't change, you stop being thrown around by what does. So ask yourself, what am I still clinging to? What idea of myself am I unwilling to release? What truth am I still afraid to see? Because the path to the end of suffering is not paved with comfort. It is paved with courage. Courage to look within. Courage to be honest. Courage to let go. The Buddha didn't call for worship. He called for awakening. He didn't say, believe me. He said, come and see. And so you must see how your suffering arises, moment by moment, not in theory, not in books, but in direct experience. Notice how a thought appears, and how quickly the mind wraps around it, gives it meaning, turns it into identity. Notice how an emotion rises, and how quickly it takes over your sense of reality. And then notice this: the moment you bring awareness to it, something shifts. You are no longer inside the wave. You are watching it. And that right there is the beginning of freedom. Freedom is not some distant land waiting at the end of a perfect life. It is here now, underneath the illusions you carry. But to uncover it, you must be willing to sit in the fire of truth. The fire of letting go, the fire of silence. The fire of seeing your ego crumble, your attachments fall apart, your false identities dissolve. It is not a fire that destroys you. It is a fire that purifies you. Most people fear that fire. They distract themselves with the next achievement, the next relationship, the next moment of escape. But those who are truly free are those who stop running. They sit with their fear, with their grief, with their emptiness, and they realize something miraculous. These things cannot touch who you really are. They are waves. You are the ocean. They are stories. You are the awareness in which all stories come and go. What the Buddha pointed to was simple, but not easy. He did not give us answers wrapped in comfort. He gave us tools forged in truth. He gave us the breath. He gave us presence. He gave us silence. He gave us the mirror of mindfulness and the stillness of meditation. And he said, look here, look now, see for yourself. He knew the path would not be walked by the masses because it demands everything you think you are. It requires a death, not of your body, but of your illusions. The illusion of control, the illusion of permanence, the illusion that peace lies somewhere outside you. You will try to hold on. You will try to negotiate. But liberation comes only when you let go completely. And yet, this letting go is not a loss. It is a return to simplicity, to breath, to being, to that childlike presence that existed before you were taught to be someone. The Buddha saw this clearly, that suffering was not something to run from, but a doorway to awakening. When you sit with your suffering without labeling it, without pushing it away, without needing it to go, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel free, not because the pain is gone, but because your relationship with it has changed. You are no longer its prisoner, you are its witness. And in that witnessing, you reclaim your power. So much of your life has been spent chasing approval, chasing worth, chasing perfection. But nothing you chase will ever complete you, because nothing outside you can touch what's already whole. The Buddha said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Do you see the power in that? You are not a victim of the world. You are the creator of your inner world. You cannot always choose what happens, but you can always choose how you respond. And in that response lies your liberation, or your continued bondage. Even now, there is a quiet space inside you, a place untouched by fear, untouched by trauma, untouched by opinion, by failure, by success. It's not far away. It's not buried deep. It's right here, behind the next breath, between one thought and the next, in the pause before you react, in the moment you choose presence over habit. And the more you return to this place, the more suffering loses its grip on you, because suffering needs your resistance to survive. It feeds on your identification. It grows in the soil of this should not be. But when you stop fighting, stop grasping, stop fleeing, you begin to live, not in theory, not as a future goal, but in this moment, this one, right now. You have been taught that peace is the absence of pain. But the Buddha taught a deeper truth. Peace is the presence of understanding. When you understand the nature of the mind, you are no longer its slave. When you understand the impermanence of emotion, you stop worshipping it. When you understand the emptiness of all things, you stop clinging. It's not cold, it's not detachment in the way the world uses the word. It's freedom. The kind of freedom that remains even when the body aches, even when people leave, even when plans fall apart, because now you are no longer falling with them. You are grounded in something deeper. Call it awareness. Call it the witness. Call it Buddha nature. It doesn't need a name. It just is. And it's always been there. This is what it means to awaken. Not to escape the world, but to see it as it is. Not to deny your emotions, but to stop being ruled by them. Not to silence your thoughts, but to stop believing everything they say. Your suffering whispers to you, you are not enough. Something is missing. You must chase, achieve. But the Buddha's silence speaks louder. You are already whole. Not because your life is perfect, but because the truth of who you are has never been touched by imperfection. The mind is a storyteller. It crafts narratives, creates identities, holds grudges, builds castles in the clouds. But the Buddha said, let all that go. Sit, breathe, be. No past, no future, just this moment, bare, raw and real. In that simplicity, the false self begins to fade, and in its place, a deeper self is remembered. Not something new, but something ancient, something that has always been waiting beneath the noise. Look around you, so much of the world is asleep, chasing shadows, building lives on the fragile sands of desire and fear, always moving, never arriving. But the awakened one stops. The awakened one watches, sees the game, and steps out of it, not by running, but by no longer playing. That is the most radical act you can perform. To no longer be a puppet to your mind. To meet pain with presence. To meet joy without clinging. To walk through life with open hands instead of clenched fists. Because what you hold on to holds on to you. But what you release sets you free. There is no salvation in the future. No moment out there that will finally fix you. The Buddha did not speak of heaven as a reward. He pointed to nirvana as a realization. Not something you get, something you wake up to. A place beyond becoming, beyond needing, beyond the push and pull of I want this, I don't want that. It's not annihilation. It's the end of confusion, the end of delusion. It's the clarity of seeing reality without filters, without craving, without fear. And when you taste it, even for a moment, you know this is what I've been searching for all along. Not outside, not from others, not through achievement, but in this naked, sacred simplicity of being. And once you see it, even once, truly see it, you cannot unsee it. You may forget, you may fall back into old habits, you may get lost again in the loss, in the wanting, in the rush of the world. But a seed has been planted, and it will grow, because something in you now knows the truth. The peace you seek was never hidden. It was just covered by stories, by fear, by false identities. Like the sun behind clouds, it never stopped shining. It only waited for you to stop chasing storms, and when you do, you return to what has always been, not as an idea, but as a living presence, unshaken, undeniable, undivided. The Buddha did not point to something outside you. He pointed you back to the silent power of your own awakened heart. And here's what no one told you. You can suffer and still be awake. You can grieve and still be free. You can walk through fire and not be burned, because you are no longer made of what burns. This is not spiritual poetry. This is a reality thousands have touched. Not by becoming superhuman, but by becoming deeply human. Present, real, here. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to renounce the world, or shave your head, or hide in a cave. You just need to be honest. Honest about where it hurts. Honest about what you fear. Honest about how much of your life has been spent trying to avoid the truth. And then you need the courage to stay, to sit, to what, to feel, to open your heart, even when it wants to close. Because suffering thrives in separation, but it dissolves in presence. Every breath you take is a chance to begin again. Every moment of stillness is a door. Every time you resist the urge to escape, you grow stronger in spirit. This is the hidden strength the Buddha offered. Not the power to control life, but the power to control life, but the power to be undisturbed by it. To be so grounded in truth that no success inflates you and no failure diminishes you. To walk through gain and loss, praise and blame, joy and sorrow, with the same unshakable grace. This is not passivity, this is mastery. The mastery of one who sees all things come and go, and remains free through it all. And so the question is not how can I avoid suffering? The question is, can I meet it fully and awaken through it? Because the Buddha did not teach you how to run. He taught you how to stop and turn inward, to face the very thing you've been avoiding, to bow to it, not in submission, but in recognition. Because in that bow, you reclaim your life. You become the calm in the storm, the watcher behind the thoughts, the awareness in which pain comes and pain goes, and through that awareness, a quiet joy is born. Not loud, not euphoric, but deep, steady, unbreakable, the kind of joy that cannot be taken from you, because it was never given by the world. This joy, the one born from awareness, not circumstances, not a luxury. It is your birthright, but it requires something you've been taught to avoid your entire life: stillness. In the stillness, there is no one to impress, no race to win, no mask to wear. There is only what is, and that is enough. But the mind doesn't trust stillness. It fears what it cannot control, so it pulls you back into thought, into planning, into regret and anticipation. It says, do something, fix it, escape. But the Buddha whispers something different: stay. Stay with this breath, stay with this moment, stay with the discomfort without running from it. Because everything you've ever been afraid to feel, grief, shame, loneliness, inadequacy, loses its power when you no longer run. What you face, you transform. What you embrace, you transcend. This is not about detaching from life. It's about relating to life differently. Instead of clinging, you allow. Instead of resisting, you receive. Instead of controlling, you witness. And through that witnessing, the world begins to change. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. When your perception changes, everything changes. You begin to see beauty in places you overlooked. You begin to feel compassion for those you once judged. You begin to understand that everyone is suffering in their own unseen way. And from this understanding, a new kind of strength emerges. The strength of gentleness, the strength of patience, the strength of patience, the strength to walk through a world of fire with a heart made of peace. Let go of the idea that awakening is distant, that peace comes only after you've fixed your entire life. That freedom waits for you in some future, perfect version of yourself. The Buddha never said that. He said, be a lamp unto yourself. He meant, stop waiting. Stop giving your power away to time, to people, to the story of not yet. You are not incomplete. You are simply asleep to what you already are. Wake up, not by force, not by effort, but by awareness. Come back, not to an old version of yourself, but to the truth that was always here. The sound of your breath, the space between thoughts, the quiet knowing behind the chaos. You ask, when will I be free? The answer is not in time. The answer is in attention. Because the more deeply you pay attention, the more clearly you see. You were never trapped. The door was always open. The chains were never locked. The prison was made of thoughts, and the key was presence. And when you realize this, not intellectually but viscerally, suffering begins to evaporate. Not because life becomes easier, but because you are no longer at war with life. You are no longer a seeker, lost in the forest. You are the forest. You are no longer a wave crashing against reality. You are the ocean. You are no longer looking for peace. You are what peace looks like when it walks. So now, let everything fall silent. Let the noise of the mind settle like dust. Let the past dissolve. Let the future wait. Come fully into this moment, into this breath. Here there is nothing missing. Here there is nothing broken. Here you are not a problem to solve. You are a presence to remember. And in this remembering, suffering begins to bow. It cannot survive in the light of your awareness. It cannot feed on a heart that no longer clings. It cannot confuse a mind that sees clearly. The Buddha did not promise a world without pain. He promised that even in the presence of pain you can be free. That no matter what life takes from you, it can never take what you truly are. because what you truly are was never born and can never die. It is not your name, not your story, not your roles or regrets. It is the vast, still, luminous awareness that watches all things arise and pass and remains untouched. This is the end of suffering, not a finish line but a return to the simple, silent truth. You are already home. So sit, breathe, let go, not because you must, but because finally